Question tags, again, is a very important topic as far as spoken language is concerned, right? So you don't use tags in written discourses or in written language for any of the languages across the world, not just English, but we don't use question tags as such for the written language. Question tags are particularly meant for the spoken aspects of the language, and it's very, very abundantly used in English as well, right? So, like I've mentioned earlier, the moment we refer to spoken language, we basically are directing you to watch and listen contents in English, right? Particularly the ones which are more popular in the or something that is more a part of the popular culture, right? So, series, movies, songs, music, everything will be a part of the popular culture, right? Or even, performing arts that can also be sometimes part of the popular culture. Um, so, your acquaintance or your immersion in any of these um, forms of popular culture that I just mentioned can actually enhance your skills in the spoken parts of language. And question tags is one such that, right? And it's very, very, very commonly used also in English. So, what are question tags? These are basically questions, right? But then, what kind of questions are they? Yes or no question, content questions? What are they?
Yes or no type of questions.
Yeah, yes or no, or it's yes. Structurally, you look at it, it's yes or no question sorts, but then it's not something that actually looks for an answer, right? So when I use a
Rhetorical
question
question.
tag, yeah, rhetorical, not as serious as a rhetorical question, but it's more like an expressive, right? So in the language, you have several segments or particles in language that help you make certain expressions. For example, we looked at modal verbs in your previous course, and even it's a part of English too as well, right? So the major function of modal verbs were to express certain modalities, right? They're basically expressives, expressions of modalities. So even question tags, the format of question tag is that of an interrogative sentence or of a question, right? But the function it actually performs is that of an expressive, right? It's more like your way of conversing with someone, having a conversation with someone, and to add expression to your conversations, you use question tags, right? So um, you can use question tags in two different ways. Now, you've already looked at the week one, right? The module one, which discussed with you about pitch, rhythm, intonation, right? Remember intonation. So you can use question tags with rising or falling intonation, right? Rising intonation, falling intonation to generate different meanings, right? So, like we discussed in the case of intonation, the same kind of rising falling tone can be used with the question tags to either, confirm with someone that you are saying, or to raise a question when you're not sure, when you think they won't agree with you. Right. So if you think they're going to agree with you or you're confirming something with someone, then what is the tone that you'll use? Rising intonation or falling intonation?
Raising
Raising.
intonation.
No, you're rising intonation, right? When you're sure about something, you think that the person's answer is going to be more or less yes. When there is an implied yes to your question tag, the yes is an answer to your question tag. When you're only confirming, you know it, but you're only confirming, and you expect a response in positive. Like your expectation is of a positive response from the other side. You use a rising intonation, right? When you're not sure, okay, in contrast, when you're not sure or you think that, okay, this person may not agree or would answer in negative, then you're going to use the falling intonation. The same question tag can be used using two different intonations in the spoken language based on whether you expect the person to agree with you or disagree with you. Right. So, this is the practical application of using question tags in conversations. Right. Um, right. Now, another part, once now that we are done with the function part of it, let's look at the structural aspects of question tag. It's very easy to understand and not very difficult. Um, Usually, question tags they are formed using the subject and the verb of a given sentence, right? And how do you do that? Just like you do it in the yes or no question, right? When you have a yes or no question, is this an English session? Yes, it is. right? So what are we doing here? Is this an English session? You're only inversing the verb and the subject. You have the subject and the verb. You're only inversing the position. So it is an English session. Is it an English session? Right. So you have reversed the position of the subject and the verb in the sentence. Right. Same thing happens to the question tag as well. Right. So for example, if you have a sentence like, just look at your chat box. She is a teacher. So how are you going to write the question tag for this? Even she just ignore the punctuation errors and all that. I'm not going to bother. Yes, correct. So isn't she? She is a teacher. Isn't she? Right. So what have I done? I have inversed the position of the verb and the subject. But there's another thing that you see here. What is it? Did I say she's a teacher? Is she? No. I said, isn't she? Right. So point number one is that you inverse the positions of both your subject and verb. And the second part to this is that use the verb in its negative form, right? Use the verb in its negative form. These are the two changes, grammatical changes that you have made to the sentence, right? First one is inverse the positions, right? Second is change it to negative. Now, for example, if the sentence was, she is not a teacher, then she is not a teacher. Is she, right? Is she? So if this is my sentence, then my question tag is going to be, is she? Okay. So what do you infer from this? If you have an affirmative sentence, then your question tag is going to be in the negative, right? The verb has to take a negative form there. Then if it is in negative, if the sentence given is in negative, then the question tag has to be in the positive, right? There are few exceptions to this case. The very, one or two cases, I'll show that to you as we discuss the questions. But most often, for most of the verbs that we use, if the sentence has a positive verb, then the question tag needs to have a negative and vice versa. Okay. So this is the first structural aspect regarding that. Another one, point number two, is about the verbs, the kind of verbs that are used to create a question tag, right? So in the sentence that we just discussed, what verb is being used? What is the verb? What is the nature of the verb? Not what verb, I know it is, but what is the nature of this verb? What do you call this category of verbs?
B form.
B form, okay, or sometimes you also refer to that to these verbs as helping verbs. But let's say we call them B forms, okay, B forms. So this is one kind. Then what are the other kinds of verbs that you have? B forms you have. Then you have auxiliary, right? You have
Yes,
auxiliary
ma'am.
verbs, right? So what are the auxiliary verbs that you have?
Amis or was were.
Okay. So you could say that you have B forms of the verb, which includes all is, are, was, were, right? And then you also have the do, does, and did forms, right? Then you have the has, have, had forms, right? All of them are
Three
part of,
forms.
yeah, they're all so has, had, have particularly, they can be helping verbs as well as they can be used otherwise, right, as an actual verb form also. But let's say stative verbs. Okay, if you put them all together, we can have two categories, say stative verbs. Okay. And then you also have what you call as the action verbs, right? And then there's another category, which are the modal verbs, right? So modal verbs, okay, can also be a part of stative or the auxiliary. So mostly stative and action verbs. So when you have a stative form of verb in the sentence, it's not a big deal. All you need to do is reverse it, right? So for example, if I have another sentence like, she can teach. Okay, same verb, she can teach. What's the question tag? She can teach. Can she? right? The answer is can she. So all we did is again inverted the position of the subject and the verb, right? Similarly, if I have something like she has become a teacher. What is the question tag for this? She's become a teacher, hasn't she? Right? So you saw that with has or the forms of has, which is has, have, had, and with modal verbs can or the other 9 auxiliaries, that modal auxiliaries that you have, and the other be form, which is, are, was. All you need to do is just reverse, right? Reverse the position of the verb and the subject. Just write them inversely. But if you have something like she aspires to be a teacher, what is the question tag for this? Does she? Yeah, or does she or doesn't she? She aspires to be a teacher, doesn't she? Okay, because what did we
Doesn't she?
say? Huh. Because your sentence is in positive, na? It's an affirmative sentence. So obviously, question tag has to be negative. Okay, yeah, correct, Elango. Doesn't she? Okay, doesn't she? Now, what change do you see here with the action verbs? With the action verbs, you have to insert an auxiliary, which is do, does, or did based on the tense of your verb, right? So action words cannot be directly converted into, you cannot change or inverse their position and then have the question tag. Only in the case of having action verbs where you have, things like aspire or kill or dance or sing or paint, whatever. If there's an action verb, then you need to insert the auxiliary do, does, or did based on the tense to form the question tag. But for every other category of verbs, or largely called as the stative verbs, whether it's the be form of the verb, or whether it's the modal verb, or whether it is the have, had form, okay? All of them can simply be converted into a question tag by inversing the position, right? These are structural aspects, right? Um, okay.
Ma'am,
Let's look
I
at
have
this.
one doubt.
Yeah. Sorry?
I have one doubt, ma'am.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Why do we use the verb in its negative form, ma'am? For example, you are an engineer.
Huh.
Aren't you we are using?
Hmm.
What meaning does it imply when we use are you? What is the difference in the meaning? I want to
What
know.
is the difference in the meaning? No, it's not about the difference in the meaning. These are conventional forms in language, right? So why do we use it? You're using this to confirm you're an engineer, right? So you have mentioned that in the sentence that the person is an engineer. And because this is a confirmation question, you're also giving an option of option for them to say no, right? So you include that also as a part of your sentence. So you are an engineer, aren't you? So this is to indicate to the person that say, I'm only confirming with you. Okay, whether you are one or you are not. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So
If I use
providing a
you are an
contrast.
engineer or you,
Sorry.
what if I use you are an engineer or you,
Hmm.
then what does it
No,
imply,
it
ma'am?
doesn't give you that meaning. It doesn't provide you the meaning of, first, you do not provide an alternative, right? And second is that the part that you're confirming is not clear.
Okay. Hmm.
Hmm?
Yeah.
We are able to do that because we have a very different tag in our languages, right? So we can use the tag Hena with every sentence, right? Ho Naya, Hena is with, this is in Hindi, and of course, there are other examples from other languages. We use that as a common marker for every sentence. So for us, it sounds okay. We're like, okay, what's the problem in asking are you? But for a native speaker, this is wrong because it doesn't make any sense to them. You're not giving them a contrast, and you're not. It doesn't sound to them like you're asking a question for confirmation. Okay, right.
So it is uncertainty and so it is not confirmation. So we are not using it, is it?
Yes, yes. So you're basically asking the other person to confirm it for you, right? Uh,
Mm.
yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Then, okay, so we'll start looking at the questions because I want to also show you a few examples of cases where, some of these rules may not apply. And we use a very special kind of tag for that, right? They stand out a little bit, a few of the expressions. We look at that, but I think the initial questions are all based on the rules that we just discussed, okay? So yeah, we have the first question. I think we just discussed this. You're an engineer, and what is the tag?
Aren't you?
Aren't you? Right? Aren't you? You're an engineer, aren't you? Right. So if I say aren't you in a falling tone, then it is basically, the expected answer is a no. If it's a rising tone, aren't you? Then this is going to be a confirmation in yes from the person, right? Okay. Second, she can sing.
Can
She
she?
can sing. Can she? Can she? Right? Yeah, correct. Donna plays baseball.
Doesn't she?
Doesn't
Yeah,
she?
so correct. So now you have an action verb here. So obviously the verb do, the form of do has to be used because Donna is in singular number. We use does. So doesn't she? Okay, Donna plays baseball. Doesn't she? He was your mentor. He was your mentor.
Wasn't he?
Wasn't he?
Wasn't he? Correct. Correct. He was your mentor. Wasn't he? She was studying. She was studying.
Wasn't she?
Wasn't she?
Wasn't she? Correct. Wasn't she? Your mother is Irish.
Isn't
Isn't
she?
she?
Yeah. Your mother is Irish, isn't she? Okay. He's working as a mechanic.
Isn't he?
Isn't he?
He's working as a mechanic. Now, this could be either he was or he is, right? So apostrophe s can stand for either, or it can be even has. But has cannot come here because you don't have the perfective form here. So it's either he is or he was. Based on whatever it is, you can either coin it as he is working as a mechanic, isn't he, or wasn't he? Both would be correct. Okay. Then he does look like he has got something to say.
Doesn't he?
So does is your main verb here. Now, when you use does here, you see that we are not changing it, right? He does look like he has got something to say. Okay. So what is the main verb here? Does. That is the main verb
Does.
for the sentence. Yeah. So if does is used, then this is an auxiliary by itself. You don't have to change anything. So we do the same thing of inversing the position of the subject and the verb. So doesn't he, right? But if it is an action verb, then you need to change it to do, does, or did based on the tense, right? So if do form comes on its own, then no change. Same thing. Does he? He does look like he has got something to say, doesn't he? Correct. Now, they've waited a long time.
Haven't they?
Haven't they?
Haven't they? Okay. You are from India,
Aren't you?
Aren't you?
aren't you? You're from India, aren't you? Yes. He plays chess,
Doesn't he?
Doesn't he?
doesn't he? He plays chess, doesn't he? Okay. She paints beautifully,
Doesn't she?
Doesn't she?
doesn't she? Doesn't she? Right? The girls wanted to go home.
Didn't they?
Don't they?
Didn't they?
Didn't they?
Didn't they? Because you have
Didn't
past
they?
tense, right? So didn't they, right? Didn't they? The girls plural. So didn't they? Sorry, I am late again.
Aren't I?
Aren't I?
So I am late again, aren't I? So this form of the verb am, it does not have a direct tally. Of course, you can't say amn't I, right? That's a wrong expression. So instead you use the word aren't, okay? I am late again, aren't I? A-R-E and apostrophe T, okay? Or if I change the sentence to negative, I am not late. I am not late. Then what would be your...
Am I?
Am I?
Am I,
Am I?
right? Am I? I am not late, am I? Right? So in the when the sentence is negative, then the tag is going to be used, it is going to use the verb am. I am late again, I am not late, am I? But I am late again, which is a positive sentence, your tag is going to be aren't I? Because we don't have, we cannot use the verb, or rather in the English sentence, conventionally you don't say amn't. It does not have a contracted form. So aren't I? Okay, I'm late again, aren't I? I'm not late, am I? Okay. 15th one. Martin used to live in Scotland.
Didn't he?
Martin used to live in Scotland. Used to is an expression that you use with the past tense, so an action that has happened in the past. So, of course, did. Right? So, Martin used to live in Scotland. Didn't he? Didn't he? Okay. Okay. 16th one. We ought to start now, really.
Oughtn't we?
Yeah.
Don't we?
You can say oughtn't we, or you can use something else also here. Okay. Oughtn't we is not wrong. You can say we ought to start now, really. Oughtn't we?
Don't we?
Sorry, what is it?
Don't we?
Okay, we ought to start now, really, oughtn't we? Or you can say should we? Okay, we ought to start now, really. Shouldn't we? Sorry, shouldn't we? Okay, so either you say oughtn't we ought to start now, really, oughtn't we? Or you can say we ought to start now, really, shouldn't we? Shouldn't we is something that is more commonly used. Okay, oughtn't we is not wrong, but a more popular expression, a more convenient form that's very popularly used is shouldn't we. Like, because remember, if you have gone through the lectures on modal verb clearly, ought to is also a semi-modal verb, which means similar to should. In the sense, it also is used to express suggestions and advice, right?
Then ought to is used for moral obligations also.
Yeah, so should is also used for that, moral obligations, or rather, more importantly, should is used to provide suggestions and advices, right? So they're similar in function, right? This is a semi-modal verb, but should is like a core model. That's the only difference, but they have similar functions. So you can either say we ought to start now, really oughtn't we, which is not wrong grammatically. It's also used, but they have very less popular usage. Not many people would say that. What is more commonly heard by the speakers of English would be shouldn't we. Yeah, shouldn't. We ought to start now, really. Shouldn't we? Right? So this is more popular and more commonly heard expression. 17th one, remind me this evening.
Will you?
Yes, will you? Now, what kind of sentence is this? What type of sentence is it? Imperative, right? Imperative sentence. Remind me this evening. So with imperative sentences, usually the question tag used is will you, because you is the by default subject. Yeah, when I say remind me this evening, what I'm intending, what is implied is you remind me this evening, right? So the subject is automatically you, and then the verb that you're going to use along with it is will. Remind me this evening, will you? And now, although the more commonly used expression is will you can use other expressions also, like remind me this evening, right? Can you? Could you? Would you? Right? All of these are suitably used. People may, you'll see people shuttling between these, all the four expressions that I mentioned. You can say, remind me this evening, would you? Remind me this evening, could you? Remind me this evening, can you? Okay, and remind me this evening, will you? But among all the four I mentioned, the more commonly used one is will you. Right? Remind me this evening, will you? Okay.
Ma'am,
18th
here you
one.
don't use negative form, or ma'am.
No, yeah. With this, you don't use a negative form. Okay, because it's an imperative sentence. No negative forms used. So you don't say, remind me this evening, won't you? Right? That is not how it is, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Ma'am, these modals like can, could, may, might, or shall, should, these are independent, na? They have no relation. Uh,
Independent in the
like,
sense?
like in the lecture of week 5, Rajan sir said that these are the independent. They are not you cannot say that the tense, that the could is in the past tense and would is the.
Yes, yes. They're independent of tense is what the lecture meant. Like they're tenseless. There's no tense, no expression of tense. They don't inflect or they're not sensitive to tense. Okay, unlike your
We
other verbs.
cannot
Yeah.
use ing, ns, or es with them.
No, yes, absolutely. So it cannot show you tense, it cannot show you aspect. They are they call modal verbs because they express modalities. They help you understand the various modalities like ability, possibility, likelihood, probability. So they're expressive forms. They have got nothing to do with. They are a syntactic category, but they don't inflect for tense. A non-finite syntactic category or something that does not show tense. Okay.
Okay.
Ah. Right. So this one's the imperative sentence. Yes, the question tag is in positive. You don't have won't you or wouldn't you and all that. Okay. So 18th one again is an imperative sentence. You have passed me that pen.
Can
Can
you?
you?
Yeah.
Will you?
Hey, pass me that pen. Will you? Or pass me that pen. Can you? Right. Or any of those expressions. Right. 19th again. You have come here a minute. Come here a minute.
Can you?
Again, same thing. Will you? Right.
Can
Will
you?
you? Will you? Can you? Could you? Right. Would you? All of that's fine. 20th one, let's have the meeting now.
Shall we?
Shall we? Right? Again, this one will also have a positive question tag. These are all certain exceptional cases where, the actual rules that we discuss, which is applicable to most of the stative and action verbs, do not really fall in place. So this one again is shall we? Let's have the meeting now, shall we? Right. These are all, it's also because, they all tend to fall towards polite conversational, domain. So the expressions would change drastically when it comes to the higher upscale on the formality, right? So certain adjustments are made to the sentences or the matter at hand, as in the sentence at hand, so that you can add polite tones to it, right? So, which is why some of these sentences, some of them, their question tags look a little different from the usual ones that we see. Okay. So that's all with this. Let's have the meeting now, shall we? Right. So, imperative sentence, and the last one is a sentence that this is not an imperative sentence. This is what we call as a subjunctive, a sentence in subjunctive mood, right? This one and the imperative sentence, and also the sentences like the ones with have expressions like ought to and I am in the positive form would have slightly different question tags than the other ones. You just keep a note of them. That's all. Okay, now quickly, a little bit on the mood part, right? So tense and aspect, I think we are quite familiar with because they're very much a part of our day-to-day usage of the language. But mood is also like integral to it. It's very much a part of it, but it's not something that we pay much attention to, right? So mood is what? Is mood a grammatical function?
No.
Okay, then what is mood?
The verb express. How the verb expresses whether
How the
it is
verb is
attitude.
So if somebody asks you if whether mode is a grammatical category or not, then what is the answer? It is, right? Mode is a grammatical factor because
Okay.
if a word is being used, so see, because say modal verb, if you're using modal verb in a sentence, then it is a grammatical category, right? It may not inflect for tense, but still it is very much an integral part of the sentence, right? The misplacement of a modal verb in a sentence can affect its grammaticality. And if there is a particle or if there is a component or a constituent which can intervene with the grammaticality of the sentence, then we call it a grammatical category, right? So mode is also a part of that. But the mode, the work of or the function of the mode is to reflect the speaker's view, okay, of an event, okay, or of something. Tell you if something is real, unreal, certain, possible, wished, demanded, right? It gives you certain perspectives or view of the speaker. That's what mode is about, right? So it is a grammatical function, right? It indicates the speaker's attitude or intention in the sentence. That is how it works. Okay. We have several moods in English, but then for our course, we're only looking at 3 of them, right? So indicative, imperative, and subjunctive. Right? These are the 3 categories of moods that we have. So usually when you have to identify it in the sentence, then subjunctive mood I just showed you. So these sentences, right? Sentences like this, sentence number 20, let's have the meeting or let us go out somewhere, right? These are the sort of sentences which code the subjunctive mode. Now, what is subjunctive mode?
Subjecting, usually it is express doubt or uncertainty or possibility.
Correct. So it's usually if the sentence that you have at hand is something that gives you some which looks like someone's making a wish or someone's expressing a desire, okay, or someone's suggesting, or someone's trying to talk about an unreal situation, then all of that is categorized under the subjunctive mode. Okay. More popularly, the sentences that look like it's making for a wish, okay, someone's making for a wish or someone's expressing their desire, then that is categorized as the subjunctive mode. Okay. The
So
mode of
it
the
is
sentence is supposed to be subjective.
used to call as optative mode.
Yes,
Yes.
optative is also another word that you can hear in the literature. More
Okay.
commonly subjunctive, okay? Optative mood or optative markers, let as the optative markers, yes. So, correct, optative or subjunctive, both are right.
Yeah.
Then you have imperative. Imperative, you know what it is, we don't have to discuss, right? Something that is usually used to issue commands, right? In fact, requests and demands are also part of the subjunctive mode, right? So, for example, this sentence, let's have the meeting now, shall we? Looks more like a request, right? Shall we have it now? So, even requests are processed under subjunctive mode.
No,
As opposed to
request
popular opinion.
actually imperative, right? So give a
That's what
command
I'm
or
trying
make
to.
a request is imperative.
Okay, let me finish saying. I'm saying popularly it is under the, it is classified as an imperative sentence, but when it comes to mood, right? If somebody is asking you what is the mood of the sentence and someone says, please, can you give me something, something? So request, or even if the word please is not available, would you mind borrowing or lending some money to me? This is more like a request, but there's no please to it, right? All of these sentences are categorized under subjunctive. Okay, if it's a request also, then it has to be popularly under subjunctive. But because imperative sentences are categorized as, sentences that provide for command and request,
Yes.
people sometimes say that, okay, a request is also an imperative mode. Okay, but imperative mode is, in fact, in reality, only command, right? When you're using something to issue command, then it is imperative. Requests usually don't figure in that. Okay,
Okay.
great. And indicatives, of course, they are your usual statements, your declarative statements or question conditions, right? Everything else is classified under the indicative mode. Okay. Because we are not making distinction between interrogative mode or conditional modes here. We only have 3 of them. So everything else will fall within the indicative category. Indicative category is basically just, declarative sentences, which just indicate. It does not tell you anything else about the sentence, right? These 3 modes you can practice. I think for the lecture, only 3 of the modes are discussed, not more than that. But there are more modes. Okay, and certain languages have at least 8 or 9 modes. English does not have as many, so we restrict it to only 3 for our purpose. We'll go through some of these sentences to understand what these are. Right. So the first sentence: the river flows under the bridge.
Indicative.
Indicative.
There's no other mood expressed here. So it's a straightforward sentence, declarative. So indicative mode. River flows under the bridge. I will do the work tonight. I will do the work tonight.
Same indicative.
Again, indicative, right?
Indicative.
No other expressions. He told me that he had finished the work. Third one.
And indicative.
Indicative, yes.
Yes.
He told me that he had finished that work, simple reporting sentence, reported speech. So, indicative. God bless you,
Subjunctive.
subjunctive, right?
Subjunctive.
The desire, wish, right? All of them are categorized under subjunctive mode. So, God bless you, subjunctive mode. Fifth one, I'm hoping to get a rise. It should be raised. Right. I'm hoping to get a
Subjunctive.
raise. Hmm?
Subjunctive.
Subjunctive.
I'm hoping to get a raise soon. Yes. So, subjunctive mode. Yes, correct. Do sit down.
Imperative.
Imperative.
Imperative. Do sit down. Imperative. Okay. Is it imperative or is something else? It says do sit down. It doesn't say sit down. Do sit down.
Uh,
Do sit down.
Subjunctive.
If it is not imperative, then it is indicative.
If it is not imperative, then it is indicative.
It is a question mark or what actually? Uncertainty or possibility means it's subjunctive.
Mhm. So do sit down. What are the meanings that it can give you? Do sit down.
There is ambiguity in the sentence.
The sentence is not ambiguous. This is a very commonly used sort of sentence. Do sit down. Do come home.
Okay.
Imperative.
is
This is also imperative. See, you need to check what the sentence's subject is, right? When I say do sit down, the reference is still to a second person you, right? Yeah. I'm asking somebody to
Yes.
sit down. When I'm saying do sit down or whatever the expression is, sit down or do sit down, right? I'm still asking somebody to do that. Okay, sit down, right? Or please sit down, right? So this is again an imperative mode, right? I'm asking the person to do something, imperative mode. Command, soft command or strong command is still a command, right? Some people might choose to say it softly, some might be a little more assertive in saying that. But command is a command. We are not looking at the tone aspect right now. Even when I say please sit down, this is not a request. Okay, when I say please sit down, is it a request? No, I'm
No.
directing you to do something, right? Please sit down. So this is not a, don't treat that as a request. It's a command. It's still a command. Okay. So this one is imperative again. Then seventh one, I wish I had passed the test.
Subjunctive.
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 So hoped, wished, okay, desired, all of this is going to go into the subjunctive mode category. Eighth one, I would rather, what is this? Something is missing. I would rather you stay till tomorrow. I would rather like that you stay till tomorrow. Okay. It's not complete. Like that. You stay till tomorrow. I would rather
Subjunctive.
like that you stay till. Is it subjunctive? Yes, right?
Subjunctive.
Yes,
It is more like a
subjunctive.
wish or a desire. Yes, so this is also subjunctive, but I would rather like that you stay till tomorrow. Okay. I will have plenty of time tomorrow. Ninth one.
Indicative.
Yeah, this is indicative.
Indicative.
This is indicative. Ninth one. The 10th one. Be nice, sweet child.
Subjunctive.
Be nice, sweet child. Be nice. Imperative, right? It's basically saying you be nice. Okay. I just told you, doesn't matter you're sugarcoating what you're saying. A command is a command, right? When I'm asking somebody to do something, if it has tones of command, it is a command.
Yes.
Whether I choose to say it nicely or assertively is a different thing. So be nice, sweet child. It's basically command. It's an imperative mode. Right? 11th, it has been raining since last night.
Indicative.
Indicative. Indicative. He takes great pride. 12th one, he takes great pride in his work.
Indicative.
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 Indicative. It is time we started.
Indicative.
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 It is time we started. See that again. It is time we started. It is time we started.
Imperative.
Sentence. Let's see. It is time we started. Hey, this is indicative mode. I just asked to confirm if you have understood. You're right. It's indicative. It is time we started. It. Indicative.
It's
Okay.
indicated.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Then the last one. By this time tomorrow, I will have reached my home.
Indicative.
By this time tomorrow, I will have reached my home. Yes. Indicative again, right? No desires or
Yes.
wishes or any other mood that is expressed here. Still just reporting. By this time tomorrow, I will have reached my home. Indicative mode. Okay. So I think pretty much that's all with the discussion on mood and question tags. Both are small, very small segment of the ELL, English language learning, but they're also very significant in its approach. Okay, any questions? I don't think you should have too many doubts from this part. Although I think there is something that
And this question tag and
huh.
mood are in the week 6.
Sorry, question tag and
These are the contents of the week 6.
yeah, they are contents of page 6, I guess. I think so.
Yes, ma'am. When we will discuss the content of week 5.
Content 5 should be some writing or something. I'm not sure. Or it should be
It's
if and
about,
whether clause.
it's
That
It is
will
about
do.
content
the
5 is marks model
Sorry?
auxiliary verbs.
on the modals and modality.
Modal works. Yeah, that we'll take up. And not next week, the week after that.
I have a doubt. I read a statement, a headline like the South Paw had scored double hundred. What kind of double century means? What kind of figure of speech is in this sentence?
Sorry, what is the sentence?
The South Paw had scored double hundred in its debut. In its debut, the South Paw had scored double hundred in his debut.
Can you write it down in the chat for me so that I don't miss your.
The South. Wait a
The
minute.
first part isn't clear to me. That's why.
The South Paw, Southpaw.
South Paw. Okay.
Ah,
Huh.
scored double hundred in his debut.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, what kind of figure of speech is in this sentence?
This should be, I think, an example of
Metonymy.
metonymy. Yes, correct. Metonymy.
This is. I also think. This sentence has metonymy because Southpaw refers to the left hander. I just want to
Yeah, it
confirm
is
that.
metonymy. I don't think I am. The answer should be metonymy.
Southpaw refers to the, I think, left hander.
Yeah. Yes. Southpaw refers to a left-hander picture or something, right? I mean, based on what game it is.
Okay.
Correct. Yes. Okay, and is that all? Any other question? This is figure of speech. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, so if you have questions, we can stay back for a while since it's only 12:17. But if you don't have anything, I don't want to keep you waiting. We can wind up for today. Meet next week. I'll try to see if I can take up model verbs next week. If not, we'll do it the week after. Okay, anything is fine. I'll just check if I have the questions part ready for that. Okay.
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 Right. If no questions, then let's call it a day. Let's not wait too much. Okay.
Yeah, ma'am.
See you
Thank you
again
so
next
much.
week. Sure. Thank you so much. See you again next week.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
one last sentence for question tag, ma'am.
Question
The
tag.
sentence goes like, there is nothing in here. isn't there, or what will come at the end, ma'am, as a
There's
question tag?
nothing in here.
There is nothing in here.
There's nothing in here, and you're looking for the
Question tag.
question tag. There is
Isn't there,
nothing.
or what will come, ma'am?
There is.
Is
I
there?
don't think. I don't think it has to be. Isn't there? It will have a different question tag, is what I'm guessing. There's nothing in here. It's not. Is there? And this is in negative, right? There is, so the tag has to be positive then. There's nothing in here.
Yes, ma'am.
Ah. Hmm. So I think this one, there's nothing in here. Or let me try to rephrase it then. Say simply something because this is a cleft sentence, so there's actually no subject.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't say is there because there is not a subject. So it is a subject, but it is not like a usual subject, right? Left construction. If it was nothing is wrong, then you could have used is it. There,
Nothing in place of
Is
nothing,
it?
nobody. If we take
sorry.
nothing as if we take nothing as nobody, then can we
Huh.
use isn't there? Isn't here? Sorry.
I am not sure if you can use isn't there because, like I said, there is not an actual subject that you can use to refer, right? This sentence is basically a cleft construction. There is nothing in here. Okay. So there and it's like you say, it is raining. There's no meaning to the word there. Okay. So my confusion is if such things can be used as a question tag. It's
So
okay with
let's
the
take a
normal.
different case, ma'am.
Huh,
There are 5 cars in the street.
huh.
How can we form the question tag, ma'am?
There are 5.
Cars in the street.
Okay.
Then how can we form the question tag, ma'am?
There are
5
5
cars.
cars in this. Yeah, I think you can say aren't there. If you can say aren't there, I think you can use isn't there for this one also. There isn't anything in here. Um, isn't there? Yeah, I think isn't there should be fine. So aren't there, isn't there? Yes, okay.
Okay,
I
ma'am.
think it is okay, but I will confirm and let you know. Okay, so that we don't go wrong.
Should there be?
No, not should there be. It's not a tag. Then it becomes a whole new sentence. So either it has to be isn't there and aren't there. And if not, my only confusion is with what will they replace there with. But because it's a grammatical subject, I feel like it should be okay. Isn't there and aren't there are not wrong.
Then isn't
Okay.
there? Already nothing is there. So is there should be or isn't there?
Isn't there? Yeah, is there actually. So
Is
based on
there?
whatever you have, yeah, is there. There isn't anything here, in here, is there. There are 5 cars on the street, in the street, uh,
Aren't there?
aren't there. Yeah,
Okay, ma'am.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. That was a good question, but we'll still check if this is okay. I think it is okay. It shouldn't be wrong. Okay, fine. Any other questions?
That's all, ma'am.
Okay. All right then. See you next week.
See you, ma'am.
Yes.
Sure.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank you.
much. Sure.